At least he never replaced Mom. That's what my daughter said to me, in her wedding dress, with mascara still fresh, while telling me I wasn't welcome at the wedding I paid for. Yeah, buckle up. A year ago, if you'd told me my only kid would erase me from her wedding, a wedding I was paying $60K for, I'd have laughed in your face. My name's Malcolm. I'm 58 Live, just outside San Jose. And I've been in the software game long enough to have my own firm. It's not Meta, but it pays for lake houses and 3 rehab stays. Apparently. My daughter's name is Emily, 28, digital brand consultant, which, as far as I can tell, means she posts mood boards and invoices people for it. I raised her mostly alone. Her mom, Vanessa, ditched us for some shaggy sculptor named Rick when Emily was 8, moved to Ojai, said she needed to feel alive. Cool. I spent 5 years just trying to hold things together, school drop-offs, soccer injuries, meltdowns at Target over the wrong cereal. Then I met Tanya, my now wife, civil rights attorney, smart as hell, never once tried to replace Vanessa. But try explaining that to a daughter who thinks every hug is betrayal. Look, Emily's always been difficult. You'd call it big feelings if you were being nice. But I kept showing up. I missed business deals because she got suspended for vaping. Canceled trips because she overdosed on pills she swore were just for sleep. I paid. I forgave. I stayed. So when she got engaged to this guy Jackson, a PR dude from Austin, I was cautiously optimistic. He seemed chill, stable, not her usual flavor of disaster. They didn't have much money. And yeah, Emily was still half living on my dime. So I did the thing. I said, let me pay for the wedding. 10 months ago, we sat at my kitchen table, going over venues. She actually smiled, showed me Pinterest boards like we were finally syncing again. I was stupidly happy. Like, hey, maybe this is our moment. Maybe we heal here. She wanted this resort in Colorado. Rustic, lakeside, super influencer core. I said yes, no hesitation. Venue deposit paid. DJ paid. Florist. Hair trials. Security. Catering. All me. I just wanted to walk my daughter down the aisle and not be the villain in her damn story for once. Except, somewhere along the way, something shifted. Texts stopped being warm. Calls were rushed. Tanya's cousin mentioned Emily called us toxic to her friends. I laughed it off. Tanya didn't... You sure she wants you there? Tanya asked me that. I should have listened. 7 weeks ago, my brother Joe called to ask about his flight. I realized I didn't know the actual date. So I reached out to the planner, this guy with perfect teeth who Emily swore was the Michelangelo of weddings. I asked to confirm the guest list. He hesitates. I'm sorry, sir, but the bride asked us not to release any information. You're not authorized. I'm sorry, I'm the one writing the checks. I literally funded this man's child's braces with that catering deposit. I pressed hard, got the guest list. Tanya and I not invited. But you know who was... Rick, the deadbeat artist who left her, who told me, good luck, man. She's your mess now. That Rick. And get this, he was listed to walk her down the aisle. 5 weeks ago, I hit bottom. I drank a lot. Tanya begged me to eat. I didn't. I watched that email with the guest list over and over like it would change. My name was just gone. No father of the bride. No thanks. Just vanished. I left voicemails, some desperate, some angry. One just me crying for 60 straight seconds. It wasn't about the money. I mean, yeah, it stung. But it was about what it meant, like all those years I stayed, helped her through hell, protected her from her own self. None of it mattered. Just the checkbook. That's all I was. 3 weeks ago, I showed up at her place. She lived in this condo I helped pay rent for until she finally landed her own real job last year. I rang the bell. She answered on the intercom. No buzz. Just I'm really busy with wedding prep. Dad. That was it. So I did something dumb. I rang every damn buzzer on the panel until someone let me in. I got to her door, and I could hear them arguing. Jackson opened it, looking like a kid caught in a custody battle he didn't sign up for. Emily looked me up and down like I was a stray dog. "What do you want?" I asked, calmly. "Why is Rick walking you down the aisle?" She looked me dead in the face and said it. At least he never replaced Mom. You know that moment when your heart physically hurts, like not metaphorically. Actually, hurts. That was it. "You're just the checkbook, Dad. That's why you're not invited." Her words, not twisted, not exaggerated, just straight from her mouth. Jackson looked sick. I looked at him and said, "Good luck, man. You're gonna need it." And then I walked out. 15 minutes, tops. But it felt like I aged 10 years in that hallway. Tanya picked me up off the side of the road later. I couldn't drive. I was shaking so bad I thought I was having a stroke. She didn't say anything, just drove me to get ice cream like she used to with Emily after bad report cards. I sat there, holding a melting sundae, wondering where I'd gone wrong. 2 days later, Tanya sat me down with every invoice spread out across the dining table. Venue, catering, hair and makeup, custom linen rentals, freaking emergency generator for ambiance lighting. Every single thing I paid for like a moron. I stared at the numbers. $63, 417.42. 63 grand for a wedding I wasn't even allowed to attend. A wedding where I'd been replaced by a man who hadn't sent her a birthday card in 2 decades. Tanya kept asking, "What do you want to do?" She didn't say, "Let it go," bless her. She just sat there, watching me unravel. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I went back through old emails from the planner. Found one from 2 weeks ago saying it was final call for the father-daughter dance selection. Funny, I didn't know I was even in the dance. Guess Rick was going to bust a move in his Birkenstocks or whatever. That was the moment. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there and said, I'm done being the punching bag in her origin story. The next morning, I started with the venue. I called, spoke directly to the manager. "Hi, this is Malcolm Carter. I paid the deposit for the Lakeview wedding scheduled on June 1st, under the bride's name Emily Carter. I'm requesting to cancel the reservation." He paused. "Oh, sir, you're her father?" "Yep, and also the guy who paid the $18,000 deposit." Silence, then a sigh. He told me they'd need documentation copy of ID, proof of payment, and a cancellation form. I had all of it by lunch, by 2 p.m. The booking was officially gone. Over the next 72 hours, I turned into a quiet storm. Not angry, just done. I canceled. Catering $11, $300 non-refundable. But I didn't care. Floral arrangements $6, $400. Sorry, no peonies this time. Hair and makeup gone. String quartet canceled. Shuttle vans gone. Table rentals pulled. I left one thing intact, the wedding planner. Let them keep sending emails like it's all going smoothly. Let Emily walk into that venue the day of and find nothing. Let the chaos speak for me. Was it petty hell? Yeah, but it was earned. The hardest part, I kept questioning myself. Am I being dramatic? Am I sinking to her level? But then I'd remember Tanya, how she helped Emily through high school when Emily was addicted to painkillers and tried to steal her jewelry. I'd remember the screaming matches, the name she called Tanya Leach, homewrecker, fake mom. Tanya never raised her voice once. Not once. She just loved her, and this is how she got repaid. No, screw that. A week before the wedding, my niece, who was supposed to be a bridesmaid, called me crying. "Uncle Em, I think something's wrong. Emily hasn't responded to anyone in 3 days. The planner's been asking if someone else is covering the final venue costs." I played dumb. Huh, weird. I thought it was all settled. She paused. "You didn't cancel anything, right?" I said, "No idea what you're talking about," then hung up and stared at my phone like it was a ticking bomb. Part of me felt sick, like maybe I'd gone too far. But then I looked over and saw Tanya folding Emily's old baby blanket, something she used to sleep with after her mom left. She wasn't crying. She just folded it gently and said, "We did our part." The night before the wedding, we got takeout and watched a movie. Tanya made popcorn. I tried to act normal. Around 10 p.m., I started getting calls. First from the planner, then from Jackson, then my mom. I turned off my phone. We went to bed early, but neither of us slept. Wedding day, 10:07 a.m. My niece called again, whisper screaming. "Uncle Malcolm, she's losing it. They got to the venue and there's nothing here. No setup, no tables, nothing." She said Emily was in full makeup and hair, dress zipped, photographer already snapping shots by the lake. The resort staff showed her the cancellation letter with my signature on it. She went ballistic, started yelling at the security staff, tried to push past them, screamed, "Do you know who my father is?" Irony, huh? The same father she erased. 11:00 a.m. Jackson shows up, starts arguing with Emily in the parking lot. She's sobbing, screaming about betrayal. He's trying to calm her down, but she's full on meltdown mode. The best part? Rick didn't even show. No texts, no calls, just vanished. Again. People started arriving, 200 guests, dressed up, confused, wandering around a venue with no chairs, no music, and no bride in sight. At one point, the florist truck pulled in only to be turned around at the gate. Emily tried to scale a decorative fence to get in, ruined her $4,000 dress in the process. Someone filmed it. It went viral. 1:15 p.m., she showed up at my house, still in the dress. Makeup streaked down her cheeks, hammering on the gate, holding the horn. I had her access code deactivated weeks ago. Neighbors called the cops. She threw a rock at our security camera and screamed, "You ruined my life!" Cops showed up 10 minutes later. She resisted, had to be restrained. Jackson stayed in the car the whole time, face in his hands. That night, I listened to one of her voicemails. "You're a narcissist, a monster. I hope you rot." I didn't delete it. I just saved it in a folder called Proof. Tanya and I didn't say much. We just sat on the couch, watching reruns of Jeopardy. She finally leaned over and said, "You didn't destroy her wedding." She did. I nodded. But it didn't feel like a win. A week later, my parents showed up unannounced. My mom looked like she wanted to skin me alive. How could you humiliate her like that? My dad silent, just that disappointed dad stare that makes you want to disappear. I told them the truth. About Rick, about being cut out, about the voicemails, the security protocol, the accusations of abuse she'd spread to extended family. My mom didn't believe me, until she went to Emily's apartment the next day. Emily screamed at her too, told her to get out and never come back, told my 75-year-old mother she should have died instead of Dad. That's when they finally saw it. A month later, Emily and Jackson had a tiny wedding in someone's backyard. 20 people. No Rick. No photos. No family. Just a grocery store cake and some folding chairs. I found out through Instagram. She didn't tag me, but I saw Jackson looked tired. Like he'd aged 5 years in a month. Part of me wanted to text him. But what was I gonna say? Congrats on marrying my daughter who threw rocks at my security camera. Nah. Then last week, I got a call. Unknown number. I answer. "Mr. Carter, this is Jackson. Hey, sorry to just call out of the blue," Jackson said. Real quiet. I sat there, blinking at the wall in my office. The sun was hitting the side of my bookshelf like nothing had happened. Like the last 2 months weren't an emotional car crash I couldn't walk away from. I cleared my throat. "Is Emily okay?" A long pause. "Then she's not great." I waited. "She's been calling me nonstop, showing up at my job, Last week, she screamed at my receptionist because I didn't answer her text fast enough. I rubbed my temples. Jackson exhaled. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I think I owe you something. Like what? An apology. I saw how she talked to you and to Tanya before the wedding. I convinced myself it was just wedding stress. But she's always angry now. Like, all the time. I didn't say anything. He kept going. She broke a plate last night because I said I didn't want to eat dinner on the patio. Said I was controlling. I haven't slept properly in weeks. Why are you calling me? I asked. Not cold, just tired. He hesitated. I thought, I don't know. Maybe you'd understand. Maybe you've been through this longer than me. I didn't know what to say to him. He wasn't wrong. I had been through this. For years, I'd spent over 2 decades walking on eggshells, trying to love someone who weaponized every kindness. Every time I held her through a panic attack, paid her rent, paid her bail, paid her tuition, it wasn't love to her. It was ammunition. Still, hearing this from the guy who stood silently while she erased me from her wedding felt surreal. You know she's not well, right? I finally said. I do now, he said, voice breaking a little. I don't know what possessed me, but I agreed to meet him. 2 nights later, we met at this little dive bar near Palo Alto. I half expected him to bail. But there he was, hood up, eyes sunken. Guy looked like he'd been sleeping on a futon in a haunted apartment. He bought me a beer. Didn't say much at first. Then, out of nowhere, he said, she told me you screamed at her when she was 10 and threw her artwork in the trash. I looked at him, deadpan. That never happened. I said, he shook his head. Yeah, I figured. But she told me that when we first started dating, said you belittled her constantly, that Tanya tried to replace her mom on day 1, that you used money to manipulate her. I laughed, bitter. Money she was more than happy to take. I see. He winced. She said a lot of things, and I believed them. I thought you were the reason she was hurting. But after living with her for 6 months, man. He shook his head. It's like everything's a war. I just sipped my drink. I'm sorry, he said, again, for buying into it, for letting her do what she did. I should have said something. I looked at him. This poor bastard caught in the undertow, and I felt, not pity, exactly, something like recognition. You can't save her, I said. I tried. For 20 years. He stared into his beer. I think she needs help. Real help. She won't take it from me. I said, I'm the villain in her movie. Jackson nodded. She said she wants to get back at you. Said she's working on some post about abuse from childhood. Told me she'll ruin you online. I nodded. She doesn't want help. I said she wants control. He looked shattered. I love her. Man. But I don't think I can do this. You shouldn't have to. I said. After that night, I couldn't stop thinking. Part of me wanted to walk away completely, change my number, cut ties, finally breathe. But I still saw her. Not the Emily from the wedding, not the woman in a ripped white dress screaming at my security camera, but the kid who used to fall asleep in my lap during thunderstorms. The girl who asked me if I thought the moon followed her, so I made one last call. To someone who might still matter to her, her name was Priya, Emily's best friend in high school. They were tight back when things were only mildly chaotic. Priya moved to Cape Town years ago, but still posted on Instagram occasionally. I deemed her, explained everything, asked if she could talk to Emily. I didn't expect her to say yes, but she did. She called me after. She cried. Priya said a lot, then screamed at me, then cried again. Sounds about right. She says she hates you. I swallowed, but she agreed to see someone. She continued. I sent her a list of therapists. My chest actually ached. Hope is a dangerous drug. 2 weeks later, Tanya got a letter. Not a text. A letter. From Emily. It wasn't an apology, not exactly, but it wasn't pure venom either. She said she might have exaggerated some things, that she was dealing with trauma, and couldn't process all the betrayal she felt growing up. She still blamed Tanya, still painted herself as the victim, but there was something in the tone. Exhaustion, or maybe recognition. She ended it with, "I'm not ready to forgive you both, but I'm not going to attack you anymore." That was enough. Then she did something I didn't expect. She called my parents, apologized. Said she was going through something, told my mom she didn't mean what she said, that she appreciated her. My mom cried for an hour after the call. Said she heard her granddaughter again, just for a minute. I didn't rush in. I didn't call her, didn't text her. I gave it space, because that's the thing I finally learned. You can't love someone into being healthy. You can't carry them forever. Sometimes love means backing the hell off. These days, Tanya and I are just breathing. We take long drives, watch trashy reality shows. She gardens. I learned how to make sourdough like every other middle-aged guy in a breakdown. Emily sends the occasional email. Updates about therapy. One line once said, "I've been thinking about the time you stayed up with me all night when I had strep. I didn't thank you then. Thank you now." I didn't reply. Not because I'm angry. Because I'm tired. Because forgiveness takes more than that. I don't know where we'll land. She's still married. I don't talk to Jackson anymore. Tanya said, if Emily ever really wants to come back, she'll keep the door cracked open. But this time, she'll knock. About a month after that letter, Tanya and I went to this small cabin near the coast. We'd been saying for years we'd take a break, disconnect, reset. But like everything else, life got in the way. I left my phone off, no emails, no planner updates, no news alerts telling me the world's on fire, just cold air, salty wind, and Tanya's soup that always tastes like home. And I sat on the deck one evening, beer in hand, thinking about everything: Emily, Jackson, that ruined wedding, the dress with mud stains, wondering when exactly it all cracked open. Was it when I married Tanya? When I worked too much? Was there something in me I missed, a hole I didn't patch in time? And then Tanya stepped outside, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, and just sat next to me. "You're not responsible for her rage," she said. "Out of nowhere. You didn't plant it. You just couldn't fix it." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. Here's the thing nobody talks about when a relationship implodes, especially one between a parent and child. There's no parade of closure, no perfect bow to wrap it all up. You don't get a final hug. You don't get a healing montage. What you get is silence, maybe a voicemail, maybe a fake smile over Thanksgiving dinner in 10 years. And you've got to be okay with that, or at least pretend until it stops burning. 3 weeks later, I got an email from Emily. Subject line update. No hi, no dad. Just started DBT. My therapist is a little weird but smart. I think I needed this. Sorry for how things went down. Still not ready for big talks. Just wanted you to know. I reread that last line 10 times. Still not ready. Fine. Take your time. A week after that, Tanya got a call from an old coworker. Apparently Emily had reached out, asking about how to get into law school. That hit different. Emily had hated Tanya's job growing up, said she was too moral, too uptight, not cool, and now here she was, asking for advice. Tanya cried in the laundry room, so I wouldn't see. I didn't say anything, just folded towels while she sniffled quietly. Then my mom called. Guess who showed up at Sunday dinner? I stopped breathing. Emily. Yep, and she brought cookies. Mom laughed. They were overbaked, but it's the thought. I asked how it went. She didn't yell. Mom said she asked about Dad's knees, talked about her new therapist, said she might move out of state next year. Did she mention me? A pause. No, but I think she wanted to. I hung up and just sat there in the garage, engine still running, holding a grocery bag like I'd forgotten what groceries were. Here's something weird. I didn't feel hope. I felt tired. Not in a defeated way. Just a quiet kind of tired. Like I'd been dragging this suitcase of grief behind me for so long. My arms didn't remember how to hang loose. But I also felt something I hadn't in months. Relief. Not because she was better. Not because we were fixed. Because I wasn't chasing anymore. I was sitting still. We ran into Jackson at a Trader Joe's a couple weeks after that. Tanya spotted him near the frozen dumplings. He looked lighter. Shorter hair, cleaner energy. The guy even smiled. We kept it short. How's married life, I asked, mostly out of habit. He laughed, low. Divorced last month. She's seeing someone else. I blinked. Already. He nodded. Met some guy at a therapy group. She moved out, took the dog. Tanya squeezed my hand under the basket handle. You okay? She asked him. Jackson shrugged. Getting there. I don't hate her. But I don't want her back. Then he looked at me. I know I messed up. Not standing up to her sooner. I just wanted to believe it would all smooth out. I nodded. So did I. We parted without a handshake. Just mutual understanding. Battle buddies who didn't need medals to know they survived something ugly. That night, I looked through old photo albums. Not digital folders, actual printed photos in dusty leather books. There was Emily at 5, grinning with missing teeth. Emily at 9, holding a trophy from a spelling bee she swore she'd lose. Emily at 17, eyes rolled so hard they could have launched into orbit. Then the wedding folder, empty. I'd left it blank on purpose. Part of me considered deleting that chapter altogether, burning it from memory. But then I realized, that day mattered. Not because of her dress or the chaos or even the cops, because it was the day I stopped being just the checkbook. It was the day I said no. One night, Tanya and I were lying in bed, lights off, just listening to rain hit the roof. She whispered, "Do you think she'll ever come back?" I thought about it. I think she might orbit us forever. Not close, not far, just there. Tanya rolled toward me, rested her hand on my chest. And if she comes back angry again, we closed the door. I said, the thing is, forgiveness isn't always the ending. Sometimes it's just the middle. Sometimes it's a quiet chapter you don't read out loud. Emily didn't magically change. She didn't beg for another chance, but she took the first step. And I didn't chase it. I just stood still. She sends updates now. Nothing dramatic. Book recommendations, a therapist quote, a new recipe she tried and burned. Every time her name pops up, I brace myself. Then I relax. Tanya replies sometimes, simple stuff. One-word answers. We're not rebuilding. We're not fixing what's broken. We're just existing in the same galaxy again. And honestly, that's enough for now. 3 months passed. No blow-ups, no police calls, no dramatic voicemails. Just silence. And let me tell you, after living in a war zone for 2 decades, silence doesn't feel peaceful at first. It feels like waiting for the next landmine. Every calm day makes you twitchy, like, is this real or is the storm late? But eventually, the absence of chaos starts feeling like air again. I started sleeping better. Tanya noticed first, said I wasn't grinding my teeth every night. I didn't even realize I used to. Then one day, I cleaned out our garage. Not a spring cleaning thing, more like emotional yard sale, old boxes from when Emily was a kid, stuff from my first marriage, letters, artwork, a plastic crown she wore when she was 4 and declared herself queen of the backyard. I sat on the floor for hours, didn't cry, didn't burn anything either, just made peace. I kept a few things, A photo of her and me in a Halloween costume. A note she wrote in second grade that said, "You're the best dad ever, even when you say no to candy." Everything else I packed up and donated? I wasn't erasing her. I was making room for myself. A week later, Tanya and I hosted her sister's family for dinner. First time we'd had guests in forever. I grilled. Tanya made her famous mint chutney. There were kids running around, someone spilled soda on the rug, and for the first time in a long damn while, I laughed without feeling like it cost me something. At the end of the night, her niece hugged me and said, "You're like a soft bear." That stuck with me, because for years I'd felt like a concrete wall. Unmoving, cold, functional, but nothing more. Maybe I was changing too. Emily emailed again. Subject progress. No dad, no signature, just a paragraph. Therapy is rough. I keep cycling between guilt and rage. My therapist says that's normal. I still think you screwed up. But I also think I did too. I'm not asking to fix anything, just letting you know I'm working on it. I stared at the screen for a long time. Didn't reply. Didn't forward it to Tanya. Just sat with it. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't poison either. And for her, that's growth. Tanya suggested we take a short trip, just the two of us. Something new. We ended up in Oregon, little town, foggy coast, bookstores on every block. One night, we sat in a wine bar, music playing soft in the background, and she asked me, "If Emily showed up tomorrow, really different, like really healed, do you think you'd want her back in your life?" I didn't answer right away. "I think I'd want that," I finally said. She nodded. That was enough. A few weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. Voicemail this time. "Hey, it's Emily. I'm in town next weekend. Not for long. Just thought maybe we could talk. No pressure. I get it if you don't want to." I played the message 5 times. Tanya found me sitting on the patio, phone in hand. "You okay?" she asked. "I don't know." "You don't have to go." "I kind of want to," I said, "and kind of don't." She nodded. "Then do whatever lets you sleep tonight." That Saturday, I met her at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. She was already there when I walked in. Hair longer, no makeup, hoodie, sneakers. Looked like herself and not herself. She didn't stand, didn't smile, just gave me a nod. I sat down across from her. "Hey," I said, "hey." Then silence. I watched her fiddle with a sugar packet. "I didn't come here to fight," she said. "Good. I didn't bring armor." She snorted. That small sound, half laugh, half exhaustion, hit me harder than any blow-up ever could. She said therapy's been like peeling paint off a house you didn't realize was burning underneath. She said Jackson left because he was scared of who she was becoming. Said she didn't blame him. She didn't ask for forgiveness. Didn't offer it either. We didn't talk about the wedding. We didn't talk about Tanya. We just talked. About her job, her dog, some book she was reading about adult children and estranged parents. She didn't cry. I almost did, but I held it. Not for pride, just didn't want to put that on her. She looked me in the eye and said, "I used to think you ruined my life. Now I think maybe you just did the best you could." I didn't respond, because what the hell do you say to that? She paid for her own coffee, left before me. No hug, no dramatic closure, just a quiet see you around. I sat there for another hour, staring out the window, and for the first time since that awful wedding meltdown, I didn't feel like a villain. Didn't feel like a martyr either. Just a guy, a dad, sitting with a complicated past and an open tab at a half-decent cafe. Later that night, I told Tanya about it. "How do you feel?" she asked. "I don't know." She smiled. That's progress. Weeks kept rolling by. We got back into our routines. Emily texted now and then, sometimes about nothing, a joke, a meme, a podcast link. I never initiated, still don't, but I always reply, not because I expect anything, just because it's okay to open the door a little. I think that's the part no one tells you love isn't always this giant blazing torch. Sometimes it's just a porch light you leave on dim, distant. But there, just in case. I ran into one of the guys from my country club board last week. He said, "Hey, heard your daughter's getting her act together. That true?" I shrugged. She's trying. He raised an eyebrow. You ever regret pulling the plug on that wedding? I looked him dead in the eye and said, not for a second. He didn't push further. Good call. I still keep that voicemail, the one where she called me a narcissist and said she hoped I rot. Not as punishment, as reminder. People change, but the hurt happened. And healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means not letting it run your life anymore.